Well, good morning, glue troopers. I know who you really wanted to see, the real star of the show. She's got adorable dialed up to 11 this morning. So anyway, great news. I heard from Andy and got the stuff for him for the second part of the Glencoe video. And it's worth waiting for. Andy really does have the very best material. And, ooh, hello, darling. And I was looking at some of the images he sent. He's got just an archival collection of box art and everything, and he scans it all, and it's just beautiful workmanship. And he's very committed to all this. He put a lot of work in this. And once again, Andrew, I salute you. So I'll be spending part of the day working on the diorama and taking some pictures and working on the script. And I'll be spending part of the day on the computer working on the Glencoe video. I'm not sure how quickly I can have it out. The original one, part 2 that I made, gives me a template so I can put this material in there. But this is such nice stuff. I want to make sure it's nicely represented. And of course, the people who design boxes and box art weren't really anticipating computers. So sometimes, depending on the way it's oriented, you have to figure out, okay, how do I want to put this long, skinny box on the camera where it looks good? And of course, a panning shot is really good for giving people a close look at the details. But sometimes you have it up there, and it's like, well, it's a long, skinny box. It just doesn't fit the screen. You wind up with a big black screen with a long, skinny box for the long shot. And as a person who makes videos, when you get anything like that, whether it's a box art, which is probably the most common, or if it's a model like a model rocket, you're like, there's just no good way to fill the screen with it. You hate void spaces, but sometimes you have to have them when you guys do take pictures. If you're using old photos, that's fine. Just send them in. I try to avoid black box or black, huge black border areas when I can. That's one reason I think I like Jack Linwood's crowd the box philosophy of painting, is that you wind up with these really nice, detailed pictures up close where you can see everything. And if I do get one that there's just no way I could crop it down, I'll leave borders on it. It's not the end of the world. But I use a 16:9 ratio, and which is what the computers use for producing videos. It's not the only one that's available. It's my preferred one. So if you're taking pictures, try to take them horizontally on a 16:9 ratio if you can, and that way they just fit the screen perfectly. And I mean, it's not a big deal. If you don't, oh, you're just liking that. If the shape of the vehicle or whatever it is, you have to take a portrait like it's a rocket. I use the rockets because they're the most common example, or figures. If you're doing a large figurine, tall figurine, and you have to take the picture portrait style because just landscape, it just won't fit, then okay, you got to do it, you got to do it. And not a big deal. And but if you take a square photo and the model airplane just fills the photo, I can do a pan, have the camera kind of sweep down it. But if I want to do a long shot, you're just going to have a lot of void area around it, which I don't think most people even notice that or care. It's probably just me and my artistic eye. I want things to be a certain way. It's my universe, and I want to make it. It must look this way. Now, one thing I can do that I sometimes do is create my own background for it, and maybe pick a color that's similar to the background color. I want to make the background as less notable if possible when I can. And when you get down to it, photography, of course, can be a fairly complicated hobby, but of course some of these cell phones and modern cameras have blessedly made it fairly simple. But photographing a model, lighting a model, that's why I was doing the lighting test yesterday. That can be, as tricky as building the model. I imagine what really hurts is when you do something really nice with the model and you're really proud of it, and you go in to take the photograph and you can't get the work you did to show correctly, because what happens is The human eye is a light receptor. Well, so is the camera. And getting the camera to actually see what the human eye sees is actually trickier than it may seem. And as you guys are probably aware, I film these morning videos on my telephone, which I'm sure many of you have pointed out is annoyingly has the habit of going in and out of zoom or focus. I guess the little range meter on it's probably been dying for a while, which is why it tends to pulse a little bit. I think that's why. I would get another phone or another camera, but this is, for these morning ones, it's just so convenient. And the audio on this telephone is actually better than the audio built into the camera. Cameras generally don't have very good audio, but a telephone does because it's a telephone. And a lot of the, not last couple of nights because I've got the equipment spread all over the house while I'm doing this diorama, but a lot of times the videos I have that have the better audio, I actually will videotape it or record it both on this telephone and on the big camera. And I edit it out. Say that fast. Edit it out. Edit it out. Edit it out. Edit it out. I edit it out, but I clap my hands. And I'm not going to do it now because I don't want to upset Precious here. She's giving me my daily download. See, I hear and obey. I or command. But then I have to sync. I have to strip the video off the phone, and I have to strip the audio off, which is a big deal. Just hit a mute button. But then I have to sync the sound up, but I get much cleaner audio if I use the lavalier mic on the telephone for the audio and the camera for the video. And I try to fix the focus on the camera so that instead of using the autofocus, because even the big camera, if you move around, it'll change focus trying to stay locked on. And that's like maintaining missile lock. I thought about doing a video on photographing models, but I have a light box, and the light box is the ultimate cheat. If you've got a place for one and you can afford a couple $100 to get one, I recommend it because it makes photographing your models easy. It gets rid of most of the shadows. They're omnidirectional lighting. The cameras, especially modern automatic cameras, can adjust very easily for it. I mean, they're set up for photography. It comes with a standard gray background, but you can slide a piece of poster paper in there and put any background in there. The only one thing they're not good for, which kind of surprised me, is they're not really good for green screen chroma key. I tried it a couple of times. The problem is that the green, I suppose I could use a darker shade of green. First is because since the model's sitting so close to it, the light tends to bounce off the model, even if it's dull coated, which is why you're supposed to keep 7 feet from a green screen. Because the computer will make anything green go away, and if you've got the models close to the green screen, then of course the light's going to bounce off the green screen onto the model, what they call spill, and part of the model is going to disappear when you chroma key it. You can also create a mask, but then you have to like hand draw the mask to make the other part go away. You may have noticed one of the problems I had with the green screen yesterday was that I've got trees and people painted with green and everything, and it tries to fade out also. But if I use a mask, then I have to hand draw the mask. Ooh, that's tedious. But there are other ways to get into camera trickery. But since I'm washing, how'd you guys like those desaturated pictures? I think they add a little something to it, but I didn't want to do it in black and white. And I have written a script that's sort of, it's going to involve like, alien invaders, nuclear bombs, kaiju, and zombies. At first I was going to do 4 completely different ones. What's the point? Whether you're just pasting a different background up there. And I said, no, this is telling a story. But some of you guys thought, oh, they should be fleeing a zombie apocalypse. I said, no, they need to be fleeing, a kaiju attack. And I was like, no, they need to be fleeing, attacking aliens, which is the first place I went with this, because the original inspiration was the 53 War of the Worlds. And then some others said, oh no, it needs to be a nuclear holocaust. And I was thinking, well, you know what? I think I know a way it can be all of them, because we're going to tell a story. It sort of will be and sort of won't be, and that'll be the teaser for the day. But one thing, and almost everyone unanimously agreed, is you can do with more light. You can do more with light and shadow and sound than you can actually showing mystery to the threat if you can't see it. Because humans are visual creatures. I mean, model building is a perfect example of that. And if you can't see it, it's truly terrifying. Oh, you're just so adorable. Yes, you are. My wife thinks this is her cat. We all know my wife is her human. Yes, you am. Yes, I am. Oh. Well, you know what? I need to run run off to the computer. A couple of pictures I want to add to this. So that means I have to edit on the computer, and it's going to take a little while. So I better get cracking. But once I got an early enough start, I'd actually do it and have this out before lunchtime. Oh, it's tough being me. No, 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 no. Guys, I want to thank you for tuning in. Model on. It's truly terrifying.